sometimes trying to understand statistics and math in general is kind of like chasing an object that you're never sure you're going to get to. This is a picture of my dog Ducky. He's a miniature Australian Shepherd, and man, does this dog love frisbee. And when you're chasing a frisbee, there's a constant series of adjustments that you have to make because of the wind, because of the spin on the frisbee. Maybe it's bouncing off something. So you chase and you're constantly making these adjustments. But as you get more and more experience with a frisbee, you begin to get better, or Ducky begins to get better at predicting what is going to go on with this frisbee. And that's what we're trying to get you guys to do with these statistics, to be very comfortable with what's going on with the statistics, what it is that we're trying to understand, what we're trying to do. And the purpose of these first few slides today is to review and to refocus on what it is that we're doing. So the first thing that I want to go over is the summation symbol, because a few kids have mentioned to me in emails that they're uncomfortable with some of these things. And I had to make a video last time going over it. The fact is that this is really new notation. And for most students who aren't familiar with this, there's an adjustment period to understanding it. Just like trying to play catch with a frisbee. But once you get it, I think you're going to find that it's really doable. Just like Ducky in the picture. So a little stop and start time. Let's have you going. Just try the first 3 questions. Don't do all 6 of them, just the first 3. Stop and start. Okay, so we said before that this symbol right here, we call it sigma. It's a summation symbol. It means to add up all of the x's. So this means whenever x is 5, 9, 11, and 8, we got to add them all up. So I write them out, I definitely want to do that. So I write them out and I get 33. Okay? Now the next one says, number 2, the sum of the x squareds. Now, when I write out the sum of the x squareds, that means I have to take each of my x's, which are up here, 5, 9, 11, and 8, and I need to square each of them. 5 squared is 25, 9 squared 81, 11 squared 121, and 8 squared 64. And then that sigma symbol tells me sigma starts with an S, sum starts with an S, S-U-M. So that tells me to add them up. And when I do, I get 291. Now, based on the work that I've looked at on your homeworks, we're good. We're golden on these two. It's when we look at number 3 that some misunderstandings creep in. And it's all in how you interpret number 3. Some students believe number 3 means the sum of all the x's and the 5's. And what they'll do is for their first number, they'll put down 10, 5 and 5. For their second number, being the second one here is 9, they'll put down 14. For the third one, they'll put down 16, and that's wrong. It's wrong because the x plus 5 is not in parentheses. If they're in parentheses, then by the order of operations, you have to do that first. What this is correct to say is as follows. This is whatever the value for the sum of x is plus 5. So our first question was the sum of x. Well, that was 33. So this means 33, the sum of x, plus 5, and that's 38. So with that in mind, what do you think number 4 means? And then maybe number 5. So try number 4 and 5 on stop and starts. I'll go over those answers, and then we'll do 6 on a stop and start. Go ahead. Okay, so to properly interpret number 4, this means I'm looking for the thing, the sum of the x squareds. It's as if this sigma x squared is a variable in and of itself. So the sigma x squared, when I calculate the value of that, we did it before, it's 291. So I simply substitute the value, 291, for the sigma. And then 291 minus 2 is 289. Let me ask you a question. How did you interpret number 5? The way to interpret number 5 is 3 times the sum of the x's. And we've already done the sum of the x's. That was in question number 1. So it's 3 times the value that you got for number 1 plus 7. So the value for number 1 was 33. 3 times 33, 99, plus 7 is 106. How do you interpret number 6? Well, that means 5 times the value of the sum of x squareds minus 2. Go ahead, give that a try. That means it's going to be 5 times the value of x squareds, which was 291, minus 2. And that works out to be 1453. All right, so if you're still a little unclear, I suggest you rewatch this part of the video. You can bet that there will be a decent number of summations on things like quizzes and tests in the future. So what are we doing again? We're throwing all this stuff out there. We're trying to make some sense of data. And in order to make sense of data, it needs to be organized and usable in a particular fashion. And that's kind of what today's lesson is going to be all about. Now, I love to fly fish. And part of successful fly fishing is to pick the best fly for the situation, the one that is the best representation of what is going on under the water. I need to be able to sort my flies so I can best be able to draw successful conclusions. When I can draw the successful conclusions and pick the right fly, bam, I get success. So it is with data. With data, we want to draw successful conclusions. So the work on this is a little bit of a reminder of what each of these things are defined as. I think you can read this slide without me, but we're going to ask you to do the mean, median, and mode. And I left off range, but range just means highest minus lowest. And just a review of things past. All right, so there's several ways to do this, to organize data and to best find what we need. There's several ways to do it, but a good base from which to build a better understanding of these two is to step back into middle school, review something for a second, mean, median, mode, and range. And sorry, I didn't put range up there, but range means highest minus lowest. And if we take a quick peek over here at the scores, the highest is 30, the lowest is 22, so the range would be 8, 30 minus 22. Once we get that down pat, we can easily move into quartiles and percentages. So a quick little stop and start on this, then we'll get going on the next lesson. Okay, so the mean is 27. The way you get the mean is you add them all up, 22, 35, 22, 25, 28, 30, 30. You add them up, you come up with 135, you divide by 5, and you get 27. The median, which is when ordered, very important that they're ordered, 28, the one in the middle. Okay, if there are 2 in the middle, you add them up and divide by 2. And the mode is the most frequent or the most popular, the most common. In this case, it's 30. Listen, that's middle school stuff. So I don't think I challenged you in any way, shape, or form. But a quick reminder is a good thing, because now, as we approach the next part of the lesson, we have a foundation on which to build.